example, we're going to solve for word problem. I'm dividing it into 2 because I want all the calculation to be in one page. We're going to solve for word problem, so that word problem is when we are translating a story to math so that we can solve and get an answer. So the first question we are going to solve is, from the top of a tower 80 meters high. Now, let's say this is the tower, and this tower is 80 meters high. This is a foot, and this is the top. 2 boats are seen in direction due south. Now, if you know your cardinal points, east, west, north, and south. Direction due south means downward. So, but now they now say the angles of depression of the boat from the top of the tower is 45 degrees and 30 degrees. Now, let's say this is boat 1, and this is boat 2. So they said the angle of depression. What does angle of depression mean? Angle of depression means the downward angle, while the opposite is angle of elevation. Angle of elevation, that one means upward angle. So the downward angle on the foot, remember, is on the foot of the tower. Let's call this one X, and call this one Y. So they say it's 45 degrees and 30 degrees. Mind you, this downward angle is like from up going down. That's why it's called downward angle. If you measure it from here, it's no longer downward angle, it means upward, because this line here can only come upwards from here. So because it's downward angle, this is where you are sighting it. So it's going down, like you are looking downward. So the 30 degrees will be in this first one. Take note. Like from your straight line sighting downward, this is 30 degrees. While the same thing applies for the second one, this angle here. From your straight line sighting, this is 45 degrees. I hope it's clear, because these are some little mistakes we make. Some people will go and take it from here and they will fail it. So if that's said, now we have 2 triangles. We have this triangle here, and I have the second triangle. So what we are going to do is to find all the internal angles of this triangle, so it will be easy for us to start calculation. Now, here is also 90 degrees. Why did I say so? Because it is straight from the top of the cliff. And any line that is perpendicular on top of another line, the angle is 90 degrees. So if here to here is 30, and we know that the total angle is 90 degrees, it means for this first triangle, here to here, let me try to write it out, is 60 degrees. The same way, if here to here is 45 degrees, and we all know that here to here is 90, so it means that from here now, for this second triangle, from here to here will be 45 degrees. Now for this first triangle, here is 45 degrees, here is 90. We all know here is 90. Always know that the foot of the cliff to where we are talking about is 90. So here also is 45 degrees. For the second triangle, this triangle here is 90, and from here to here I established that is 60 degrees. So here will be 30 degrees. Total angle of a triangle 180. So 60 plus 30 plus 90, 180. That's for this triangle here. For the second triangle, 45 plus 45 plus 90, 180. Now we've gotten the diagram we need for the calculation. Next thing is for us to start solving. Please understand what I did here. If you miss it here, the only thing you are doing, you're wasting your time. Now first, let's solve for x, this distance here, because they say we should find the distance from here to here. I don't know if I read it. They say find the distance between the 2 boats. So that's like the distance from here to here. And the only way you can find distance from here to here is for you to first find the distance from here to here, and also find the distance from here to here, and then subtract this from this. Then you can get this. I hope you understand. So to find for x, what I'll do is x is now we already know this one, so it will be opposite over adjacent, which is tan 45 degrees equal to 80 over x. Some of you will be wondering, how do I know that I'm using tan 45? How do I know that I'm using sine? How do I know that I'm using cos? It's just very simple. Solve from the known to the unknown. Now, here is 80. So you're going to connect 80 to what you are looking for. Here is 80, and this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for x. Let me call it xd, distance of x. And this one will be y, the distance of y. So let me call this xd. Since here is 80, I'm looking for what connect these two. Here is already 90 degrees, and this is hypotenuse, which meaning we're already left with opposite and adjacent. You understand? What connect these two? I already know that, okay, is tan. That's how I know I'm using tan 45. You understand? So if, for example, the 80 is here, I'm looking for how to connect these two because I already know what is here. I'm looking for this. I will now say adjacent over hypotenuse. That will now use cos. You understand? So that's how you just connect the one that you know to the one that you don't know and know which of the trig will match. So this 45 over, so tan 45 from what we did earlier, tan 45 degrees is equal to 1. So it will be 1 equal to 80 over xd. So xd now cross multiply, xd is equal to 80 also. This is in meter, since that one there is in meter. So solve for y. For y, we already know this, and we are looking for the whole of this adjacent. So y will be tan, find y. Y will be tan, this time around is now 30. Tan 30 is equal to 80 over yd. Sorry, this yd is the whole of this place. That's yd. Yxd is from this first boat to the cliff, to the foot of the tower. So from what we did earlier, tan 30 is 1 over root 3. I know I said that it's always good to remove this sort from the under. The second answer to this is root 3 over 3. Anyone you use to solve it, you get the answer. But I want to use this because that's what the textbook is using. So that when you study the textbook, you don't get confused. So I will now have 1 over root 3 is equal to 80 over yd. So I will now have, when you cross multiply, you have yd equals 80 root 3. Yd is now 80 root 3. Now the distance between x and y is now yd minus xt, which is the same thing as 80. Okay, let me square this. Root 3 minus 80. This is xt. This is xd, and this is yd. So we'll put it in this equation. So the final answer is, we'll take the like term, 80 in bracket root 3 minus 1. Am I making a mistake? So this is our final answer. And when you check the final answer from the, we see that we got it. I forgot to put meter. So these are the simple mistakes you do in mathematics. It's in meter. Now, if you punch this in calculator, you get something that will give you a decimal at the end of the day. Well, because we are dealing with solid, that's why I always leaving this answer in the solid form. So let's look for another example. So this is the next example we are going to do. Say 2 hots and the radial mass are on the same level. It's good as we are reading it out, we are also trying to interpret it. 2 hots. Let's say this is a hot, and it is 2. But now we don't know the direction here. This is a radial mass. Let's say this is a radial mass. Are on the same level ground. All of them are on the same level ground. Take note of that. Such that one hot is due east of the mast. Now let's say this is the mast. This is the mast. they say that 1 hot is due east. When we say due east, it means on the eastern side of it. So let's maintain that this is still the hot due east, because when you put your 4 cardinal points, we have east, west, north, and south. You see why I wrote everything out, but I don't know where the position. So it's when you read the word example that you understand how to position whatever you are trying to solve. And the other hot is due west of it. Now I've already have a picture of what I'm dealing with. So if this is a mast, they say 1 hot is due east and the other one is due west, because this is west and this is, and I know all of them are on the same level ground. It's becoming more clear now. From the top of the mast, the angle of depression, now from here, the angle of depression, remember what I said about depression, it's the angle that is going down, of the hots are 60 degrees and 45 degrees respectively. So from here now, the angle of depression to this mast, another angle of depression again to that mast, they say one is 60 degrees, one is 45 degrees respectively. You understand what this respectively means? It means the way they told you the story, that's the same way you are going to allocate this angle. Now the one that was first given to me was east, the one that was due east. So meaning the one due east has 60 degrees, while the one due west has 45 degrees. Now, if the mass is 150 meter high, now this height here now is 150 meter. Find the distance between the hots. Now, what they told me to find is, let me call here A, call here B, call here C. They're just telling me to find this C and B. Now, let me draw this as a proper triangle so I can now solve it. Mind you, this is a perpendicular angle, meaning that here is 90 degrees and here too is 90 degrees. Now they say the angle of depression, if here is 60, and we all know that this is, we are talking about from here to here is 90 degrees, here will now be 30 degrees, and here too is 90 degrees, so here will be 60 degrees. So I'll have 30 degrees here and have 60 degrees here. So let me maintain my ABC. Now if here now for this one, here is 45 degrees, that means the inside triangle here is 45 degrees too. So for here too will now be 45 degrees. So I have 45 degrees, 45 degrees. For those wondering, how am I now knowing, okay, here is 60, here is 30? Simple. For every triangle you have, the sum of these 3 angles must be 180. So since here is 30 and here is 90, here will be 60, complete it 180. Same thing happened here. Since here is 45 and here is 90, here also will be 45 to complete it 180. Now I've gotten my triangle. The next thing I also know that here is 150 meter. Now they are telling me to find distance from here to here. It's very simple. Let me call here X and call here Y. All I need to do is to find the distance from here to here. I also find distance from here to here and add both of them, and that is my final answer. Hope you are following. So when you are dealing with word problem, first we are using English language. You need to understand English. Understand, like where they say respectively. If you don't understand English, you will not even know what it means. Second, you have to be very pay attention to details so you don't miss out in the logic of the question. Once you miss out, especially in these angles, like here this angle of depression, if you mistakenly put it here, you will get this one because here is still 45, but this one you will fail it because the angle will interchange, and here will obviously interchange too. So you have to be very careful. Now, what we are dealing with now is we are looking for X, and my target will be this and that. Let me say find X. So I'll say 45 opposite over adjacent, that's tan. You see how I've got it. I already know that here is 150, so I'm connecting the closest one. The X is what I'm looking for. How do I connect it with the 150? I already know, and that is tan, which is opposite. This is 150 meter. 150 meter. So I have tan 45 degrees is opposite over adjacent, which is x over 150. And we all know that from what we did before. Tan 45 degrees is equal to 1. So I have 1 equal to x over 150 degree. When we do cross multiply, x will now be 150 meter. So I'll now find for y. Find y. Now coming to this triangle again, it's still the same thing. You can still use this angle. Even here, you can still use this one and solve it. Just choose any of the angle that is interesting, and so you will always get the same answer. So let me use this angle here. I'll say tan 30 is opposite over adjacent. Even if you say tan 60, which is still opposite over adjacent, you are getting the same answer. You understand? No, this one is opposite over adjacent. Tan 30 is opposite over adjacent. Okay, anyone you use, you get the same answer. So let's use tan 60, which is opposite over adjacent. So tan 60 degrees is equal to opposite, which is 150, all over y. So tan 60 from what we did before is root 3. So when I say root 3 is equal to 150 over y, we do cross multiply. We have y root 3 is equal to 150. So y is now, when we divide both sides by root 3, we have 150 over root 3. So I think I should rationalize this. So I'll just rationalize it to 150 over root 3 times root 3 over 3. I now have something like 150 root 3 all over 3. When this multiplies, if it gives you 3, but when this multiplies this, it gives you this. So 3 can still cancel. Here 1, 3 cancel, you have 50. So y is now 50 root 3 meters. Don't forget the meter. If you're writing an exam and you did not put the meter, you will likely fail. So always remember the unit. So the distance now between this x and y is simply this plus that, which is 50 root 3 plus 150, or in meters. So the final answer is, we take away 50 into root 3 plus 3, or in meters. This is your answer. Even if you check the answer and you get something like 50 into 3 plus root 3, it's still the same thing. Hope you are understanding it. So when you have a word problem, try to understand the logic of the question and outline it and solve it. Let's solve one more example.